Marcus walked into the dealership with cash. Real cash. Years of savings stacked in his account, ready to buy his next car in full. No monthly payments, no interest, no debt. He thought he was about to make the smartest money move possible. The salesman smiled, shook his hand, and told him he was getting a great deal. Marcus drove home proud of himself. But he secretly paid over $2,000 more than another buyer who financed the exact same car that same week. Same model, same dealership, same month. The difference was not the car. It was the way they planned to pay. Most people think cash gives them power at a dealership. In reality, saying, "I'm paying cash," can quietly destroy your leverage before the negotiation even starts. Because dealerships do not make most of their money from selling cars. They make it from the system wrapped around the car. And the moment Marcus said he would not finance, thousands of dollars in hidden profit disappeared for the dealership. So they found another way to make the money back. The biggest mistake happened before he even saw the paperwork. Marcus was not careless. He spent weeks preparing for this. He watched YouTube videos about car buying, read dealership forums late at night, compared interest rates from banks and credit unions. He even searched the invoice price of the exact car he wanted. By the time he walked into the dealership, he felt ready. He believed cash gave him control. No bank approvals, no interest, no games. In his mind, the dealership would respect a cash buyer because the deal was simple and fast. And that confidence made him easy to beat. What he didn't realize was the dealership wanted one thing more than the car sale itself. Marcus already knew the number before he stepped onto the dealership lot. The sticker price on the car was $34,000, but after weeks of research, he found the invoice price online, around $31,200. That was the number he cared about. In his mind, the game was simple. Get as close to invoice price as possible, pay cash, and leave with a great deal. The salesman walked him around the car, talked about safety features, fuel economy, and special offers. Marcus barely listened. He already knew what he wanted. Then the negotiation started. Back and forth. The salesman disappeared into the manager's office 3 different times. Each time he came back with a lower number and a more tired face. "Honestly, we're making almost nothing on this." Marcus stayed calm. He pushed harder. A few $100s came off, then a few hundred more. Finally, the salesman leaned back in his chair and sighed. "All right, $31,350. That's the best we can do." Just $150 above invoice. Marcus felt the win immediately. He had beaten the sticker price by almost $3,000. The salesman looked frustrated. The manager stopped coming over. The tension in the room disappeared. To Marcus, the hard part was over. This is the moment most buyers feel proud of themselves. They think the negotiation was about the car price. That is exactly what the dealership wants them to believe. Because while Marcus was focused on saving a few $1,000s on the front end, the dealership was preparing to make even more money somewhere else. Because the real product wasn't the car. Marcus thought the invoice price was the dealership's real cost. It was not. That number was only the surface. Behind it were layers of money most buyers never see. The first one is called dealer holdback. After the car is sold, the manufacturer quietly sends money back to the dealership, usually around 2% to 3% of the car's sticker price. On a $34,000 car, that could mean another $700 to $1,000 going straight back to the dealership after the sale is done. Marcus thought the dealership only made $150 from the deal. In reality, they already made much more than that. Then come manufacturer incentives. Sometimes car companies build too many of one model and need dealerships to move inventory faster. So they offer bonus payments behind the scenes. Sell enough cars, and the dealership gets rewarded again. This is where volume bonuses come in. If a dealership hits a certain sales target before the end of the month, they can earn tens of thousands of dollars from the manufacturer. That is why dealerships suddenly become more flexible near the end of the month. They are not being generous. They are chasing a bigger payout. Then there are regional incentives. If sales are weak in one city or state, manufacturers may send extra money to dealerships in that area to help move cars faster. Most buyers never know these programs even exist. And there is one more layer. Floor plan assistance. Dealerships often borrow money to keep cars sitting on the lot. Manufacturers sometimes help cover those costs too. So even when a dealership acts like it is barely making money, hidden payments are still flowing in from different directions. Which means invoice price tells you almost nothing about the dealership's real profit. And somehow, none of that was where dealerships make the most money. After Marcus agreed on the car price, the salesman smiled and said, "Perfect. Now we just need to finish the paperwork." Marcus thought the deal was done. It was not even close. The salesman walked him into a smaller office in the back of the dealership. Quieter room, bigger desk, different person waiting inside. The finance manager. Most buyers think this person only handles signatures and documents. But this is where dealerships often make the most money. The finance manager pulled up loan options on the screen. Marcus noticed something strange. The interest rate was higher than the one he saw online from his bank. That extra percentage may look small, but over years of payments, it can turn into hundreds or even thousands of dollars for the dealership. Then came the extended warranty. The finance manager spoke carefully, calm voice, serious tone. What happens if the engine fails? What if the electronics stop working? Suddenly, the warranty sounded less like an extra and more like protection from disaster. Then came gap insurance. Wheel protection. Paint protection. Tint packages. Security systems. Extra fees for paperwork. Small charges stacked one after another until the final price quietly climbed higher and higher. And this is what makes the finance office so powerful. By this point, buyers are tired. The long negotiation is over. The excitement of getting the car is already in their head. They stop paying attention to details because they think the hard part already happened. But the dealership knows something most buyers do not. The salesperson brings people into the building. The finance manager is the one who makes the real money. And this is exactly why dealerships hate cash buyers. Most people believe cash is power. They think walking into a dealership with money in hand gives them the strongest position. No banks, no loans, no waiting, just pay and take the car. Simple. But inside a dealership, that idea starts to fall apart. Back in the same dealership, another customer walks in. Same showroom, same salesman, and yes, the same car sitting under bright lights. The first man is still there, watching quietly. Now a second buyer steps forward. He looks calm, confident, and he says the words clearly. "I'm paying cash." At first it sounds strong, final, clean deal, but something changes fast. The salesman's energy shifts. The finance office is no longer excited. The tone becomes flat, less flexible. Fewer options appear on the table. Because now, there is no loan to build profit from. What most people don't realize is this: dealerships don't make most of their money from the car itself. The real profit often comes from financing, interest rates, and add-ons built into monthly payments. When a buyer says cash, that entire profit stream disappears in seconds. So even though it looks like the strongest move, it quietly removes leverage from the buyer without them noticing. The second man thinks he is winning because he is avoiding debt. But inside the dealership system, the rules are different. Cash does not always create power. Sometimes it removes it. And in that moment, the truth becomes clear. The moment he said cash, he lost leverage without realizing it. Most people think buying a car is simple. You walk in, choose a car, agree on a price, and leave. But inside a dealership, nothing is random. Every question has a purpose. Every small talk is part of a system. As the buyer sits down, the process begins quietly. First, there is the credit check. Not even about the car yet. It is about understanding how much pressure they can put on you later. Then comes the clipboard. Simple questions. Name, job, income, phone number. It feels normal, but it is not just paperwork. It is information gathering. Next, they start digging deeper. Do you have a car to trade in? How long have you had it? What condition is it in? Each answer helps them shape your value as a buyer before you even talk about price. Then comes the most important shift. The focus moves away from the car and moves on to you, not what you want, but what you can handle. They stop asking, "Which car do you want?" and start asking, "What monthly payment are you comfortable with?" That one question changes everything. Because now, the conversation is no longer about the real price of the car. It becomes about what they think you can afford to lose every month. Without noticing, the buyer is being studied. Their limits, their fear, their budget, their pressure points, all collected step by step before any real negotiation even starts. The room feels normal, but the system is not. And just when it feels like the dealership is in full control, there is still something the buyer does not know. But there's one strategy that flips the entire system in your favor. Most people walk into a dealership thinking they must follow the system. They answer questions. They focus on monthly payments. They accept add-ons they do not fully understand. And they let the dealership guide the whole process. But there is another way to move. This time, the buyer walks in with a different mindset. Calm, clear, focused. Not as someone trying to guess what they can afford, but as someone who already knows the real target. The first move is simple, but powerful. Ignore the monthly payment talk. Bring the conversation back to the total purchase price of the car. Not what it feels like per month, but the real full number. Then comes the next step. Refuse unnecessary add-ons. Things like extra warranties, protection packages, and upgrades that were never part of the original plan. Each one might sound small, but together they build the dealership's profit. After that, there is one important question many people forget to ask. Is there any prepayment penalty on this loan? This matters because it decides if you can remove their long-term profit later. Because once the deal is accepted, the final move happens quietly. The loan is paid off early, no long interest, no extended payments, just the real cost of the car, cleared faster than expected. At this point, the system still works. The dealership still earns money, but not nearly as much as they planned. And that is where the real shift happens. The buyer is no longer controlled by the structure. They are moving inside it with awareness, using the rules without being used by them. The dealership still makes money, just not nearly as much. This point, something starts to change in how you see things. It is no longer just about buying a car. It becomes something bigger. A pattern, a system, a way money moves in almost every industry. Most people think rich people just earn more, but that is not the full truth. Wealthy people often think differently. They do not only look at what something costs, they look at how the system behind it makes money. Because in every business there is a structure, there are rules, and there are hidden ways profit is made. Cars are only one example. The same idea exists in houses, phones, loans, insurance, and even simple everyday purchases. Systems matter more than appearances. On the surface, everything looks fair and simple. A price is shown, a deal is offered, a monthly plan is explained. But behind that surface, there are incentives. There are built-in profits that most people never notice because they only focus on the final number. Smart money understands this. It does not just ask, "Can I afford this?" It asks, "How is this making money from me?" Once you start seeing that, your thinking shifts. You stop reacting. You start observing. You stop guessing. You start understanding. And this is the real difference between people who stay stuck and people who move ahead financially. It is not luck. It is awareness of how the game is designed. Because the truth is simple. The people who win financially are usually the ones who understand how the game is actually designed. Return to the first buyer, the one who walked in thinking he had already won. He still sits in the dealership, calm on the outside, confident in his decision. He paid cash, no loan, no monthly stress. To him, that looks like success. But now, after seeing everything, that moment does not look the same anymore. What he thought was a victory was only part of the picture. He avoided interest, yes, but he also removed his own leverage inside the system. He stepped out of one structure only to lose power inside another. Next to him, the financing buyer tells a different story. He played the system differently. He focused on the total price. He refused unnecessary extras. He checked the loan terms, then he paid it off early, cutting most of the hidden profit away. Two buyers, same car, same dealership, two very different outcomes. And this is where the truth becomes clear. The dealership is not random. It is designed. Every question, every offer, every payment plan is built around incentives, around where profit is made and how it is protected. Once you see that, the whole game changes. You stop negotiating based on emotion. You start understanding incentives. You stop focusing only on what you see. You start following the money behind it. Because every industry works like this in some form. Cars, banks, loans, even simple purchases. The system is always there. Most people just never notice it. And that is the real advantage. So when you walk into any deal again, remember this. Most people think buying a car is about the car. It's not. It's about understanding the system built around it.